Now, a while back, I did a review of a humidor from New Air. It was a 500 count humidor collaboration with Boveda, and I really liked it. But then they contacted me about this one, which is a 250 count, and they thought I might like this one. Turns out, I like this one even more. Hey everyone, I'm Dave with Beastmade Reviews, of course a channel dedicated to reviewing quality at different price points. Now, New Air is a really cool company that makes a lot of really nice coolers. One of the things they've been making kind of recently is humidors, electric humidors. And as I mentioned, I did a review on the Boveda collaboration, which I thought was fantastic. You can go and watch that video up there. Really great video. I thought it was one of the best humidors I've ever tried. The convenience, the size, the capacity, the ease of use. I liked a lot of things, but there was a couple of little tiny things that I didn't like. And when they sent me this, I really liked it a lot. It seems like this has all the features that I was looking for, with only maybe one or two drawbacks, which I'll get to that last. But of course, before we do that, if you like this type of content, feel free to subscribe down below. I think you'll really like it here. If you like everything fashion, EDC, all that kind of cool stuff for guys, I think you'll like it here. And I'll have a link down below to New Air. You can go and find this humidor on their website. That is an affiliate link, and it will help support the channel anytime you buy through that, and I always appreciate that. Thank you so much. Now, this is the 250 count size. They have several different sizes on their website, all the way up to, I think, 1,000 or 1,500 or something like that. And this is the smallest size that they offer. And this is a pretty large capacity for a lot of people, though for some people that will still be a little small for them. All right, now let's get to some specs of this real quick. Now, the dimensions of this are 18.5 inches high by 13.6 inches wide by 19.3 inches deep. There are 2 Spanish cedar shelves and 1 Spanish cedar drawer. The weight of this is 32 pounds. The internal volume is 1.16 cubic feet. There's an interior light, and this one has what they call OptiTemp, which is an electronic cooling and heating. The temperature ranges from 52 degrees to 74 degrees Fahrenheit and is adjustable on the front panel. This includes a digital hygrometer. It comes unseasoned and seasons with a water box that's included. This has a noise level of 38 decibels, and this has a lock on the front with a key. All right, let's get to some of the pros here. First is the size. Now, the size is going to be a pro or a con for some people, but I think this is a great size. 250 cigars is still a lot of cigars, and what I like about this is that it easily fits on a counter or something like that. It doesn't take up a whole lot of space, unlike maybe some of the larger ones. So if you have some space constraints, this easily fits around that. Next pro is the OptiTemp. Now, there are 2 versions of this humidor, one with OptiTemp, which I have here, and there's another without OptiTemp. Now, the only difference from what I understand is that the OptiTemp does heating and cooling, whereas the regular version only does cooling. OptiTemp, I think, is fantastic for all season use. So for some people who live in climates that get very cold, having something like this that heats and cools is essential for them. Now, for me down here in the South, it's not as important, but still, I think it's still a great feature. And this OptiTemp also has a great fan, and this unit cools down really quick. Because of the low volume on the inside, it seems to really get to temperature really fast. The next pro here is just the hygrometer. That was one thing that I really did not like about the Boveda collaboration. There was no hygrometer. That seemed like just a glaring oversight. The hygrometer on here, easy to read on the front, easy to spot through the glass window, so that's fantastic. And it also seems very accurate as well. Next pro here are the shelves. Now, I love anytime you put Spanish cedar inside of a humidor, I'm all for it. So I'm really glad that they put Spanish cedar shelves in here. I think that was kind of a non-negotiable point for all of these humidors that they have. That's just kind of a given, but I still always appreciate that anyway. They're easy to install. You just slide them in. There's no pegs to install with this model, which is also really great. So everything is just really easy to assemble right away. Next pro here is just the lock. I'm really glad they put a lock on here. It's not like I would always use it or need it, but I'm glad that they have it on here. It's just an easy thing to have, especially if you have maybe little kids around or maybe even just that random friend that is just too greedy for his own good. You have a lock on here to keep them out. Next pro is just the noise. Sometimes with these style of humidors, they're on the noisy side, but this one is 38 decibels, which is just barely louder than a library. It's very, very quiet. You can barely hear it. And the last pro here is the convenience, the ease of use. This is one of the biggest upsides of this style of humidor that I can see. These style of humidors, besides just the fact that they keep everything cool and air flowing, which I think is great, just the ease of use of going in there and just opening something like a fridge is great. Now, I love desktop humidors and I have a couple here, but I always find that I have to put them in inconvenient places, either like a high shelf or some place where you can't always get to it. What I love about this, it's always just right there, which is really great. Everything is easy to get to. You don't have to really worry about that much. Ease of use and convenience are high priorities on things that I really enjoy with a product, and this is one of those qualities that is absolutely top tier with this humidor. All right, let's get to a couple of cons here. I do have a couple here, and some of them are a little bit nitpicky here, but I have to list some things here. The first one here is just the internal volume. Now, usually with these style of cooler humidors, what you get is an internal volume that doesn't quite hold the number of cigars that they should hold. It says this holds 250 cigars. And maybe it does. I didn't test it to see, but typically this holds a little bit less than what they say it does. So I'm not really sure if this holds 250, and I don't know if you would want to just stack it from floor to ceiling on this to see. The internal volume here, even without that considered, the internal volume seems smaller. You get your refrigerator, which is this big, and then you get this much wiggle room inside. Now that's inherent in every design of every refrigerator or cooler of any type. So that's not a con for this in general, but that's just something to consider whenever you're thinking about getting a humidor like this. Next is there's no UV protection. Now, I didn't find this on their website, but I think there's no UV protection on the glass. I could be wrong here, but on the Boveda version, it said there was UV protection on the glass, which was a great pro there. On this one, I couldn't find it, so I'm assuming it's not on the glass, which that's a big con because since this is a humidor with a glass panel on the front, you don't want to put it in direct sunlight, or I would even say indirect sunlight. You probably want to put this in even somewhat of a darker spot. So that kind of limits where I'm going to put this. I think this is something that they could improve upon in future iterations, so it's definitely something that should be in every glass door panel for every humidor from New Air. The next con here is that there's no bottom cedar rack. Now there are 2 cedar racks here in this humidor, which I think are great, and I'm always thankful anytime they put any kind of Spanish cedar in a humidor, but the bottom of the humidor is just lined with whatever plastic they use for the inside of the cooler here. So I kind of don't like that. I wish they would have just a bottom where they would have another little rack piece or something in there, maybe even just a thinner piece of Spanish cedar or something where cigars can rest on top of wood. I think that would just be a better solution. Now, true, I could put boxes in there, but I wouldn't suggest putting boxes in there because that would take up a lot of your space inside the humidor. My last con here is that this is unseasoned, and this is my big complaint here. New Air is one of those companies that I think thinks about the premium experience. They're giving you a product that they think is premium, that is different than other products out there. So whenever you get this, it's unseasoned, and that to me is kind of a downside because their Boveda collaboration is pre-seasoned, and that is a great benefit. It seems to me that having something that is lined with cedar like this would be an added benefit for the customer, the consumer, to have this pre-seasoned already. Now they do give you the ability to season it, which I really appreciate, but you have to put distilled water in there and leave it in there for a while. Not my favorite way of doing it. Then they don't give you any way of humidifying it other than just the ambient humidity inside the humidor, which again is not my favorite thing at all. I really wish they would give you something to humidify your humidor with, even if it were just the humidity beads. Having just some of those in there that maybe you could put inside a tray or something like that would be a great benefit to this. Granted, this is the type of humidor that I think you could probably season it and then it will stay like that for a while because there's not that much wood in there to start with. I think once you season it, it's probably going to stay like that for a while and hold it in. But there's a big door in the front and that's going to let out a lot of the humidity right away. So I really wish it was pre-seasoned and that there was a way to humidify it. Now, me personally, I'm just going to throw Boveda packs in there and that will solve that issue for humidity's sake. But I think New Air, being one of those premium companies, can really improve upon future iterations and designs with those criticisms in mind. Gripes and cons aside, all that to say, I think this is an absolutely incredible humidor. I think this is one of my favorites that I've gotten to try. Even though it's a smaller size than the Boveda, I think I actually like that, prefer that, because you can just put it on a counter. Everything about this, I think, is perfection. It has a perfect compromise of features and convenience and size. If you have maybe a small cigar collection and you want to kind of dip your toe into the humidors with the cooler functions, this is absolutely just a must-have. It is so good. I can recommend this to anyone that wants a humidor like this. It's great. Definitely check out the New Air 250 count humidor. It's amazing. Get the one with the OptiTemp. It's worth it. And definitely check out New Air in the link below. I'll see you next time. I'm Dave with Beastmade Reviews. Bye.